Okay, welcome back. It's now 47 minutes after 8 p.m. Wow, the time has gone by so quickly when you're having fun. Can you believe it? It's now time for the last segment of the program. Hoping you've enjoyed it as much as I have. I'm your host, Sarfaraz Takolia. It's now time for the Car Talk segment. And tonight I'm speaking to motoring journalist Adam Ford. We're going to be discussing the new releases you can expect in the year 2021. On the line, we welcome Adam Ford, our motoring pundit and journalist and contributor to the show. Adam Ford, welcome to you and welcome once again to Salam Media. Happy New Year to you. Great to have you here, man.
Thank you very much. It's always good to be back on Salam Media.
Great
and we're
stuff.
Going to be talking about lots of nice new cars to come up.
Yeah, definitely. I've really been intrigued by a lot of new releases, but I don't want to just get too itchy yet. Obviously, as 2020 drew to a close, with the whole COVID pandemic, we were looking at some of the new releases that we could have expected, in the country. For some of us who are out at the coast, we're looking at some of the ships and wondering, how many new cars are there? And then I saw the release of this GWM P series or P class, whatever the case is. Fantastic looking for my Ford, similar to a Ford Ranger, however. But anyway, I don't want to jump ahead, just too forward now. Based on the list that we're going to be talking about, right? A wide range of exciting products are obviously destined for our shores and our local showrooms, right? Perhaps maybe a startup family or a practical, youngster moving around or a hot hatch enthusiast. What do you think they can look forward to? I mean, I was looking at the Abath. They've launched something called the Yamaha Monster, and I mean Abath obviously is the sport wing or the performance side, like the stance of Fiat, I would say, and it's a really hot looking hatch, I must say. I would compare it to the Renault, perhaps.
The thing with the Fiat Abarth is based on that Fiat 500, which not to be mean, it's a girly car. How do you turn a girly car into a hot hatch, really?
Into a manly car,
manly car, nuts. For me, even the previous Abarth, it just never excited. It just never, it didn't excite the market. They sold a few, you see one or two around, but really, is it really doing anything exciting? No, and I think the problem is not that it's a bad car. I think it's just the fact that you've got the backing of Fiat, which everybody knows is not the greatest. Resale values aren't great. So you're going to get the Alphistes, the Alpha fans who'll buy one for their wife or their daughter. And that's where it's going to end.
You know what I love about you, Adam? You're just blunt and straightforward.
Let me tell you about a car that you talk about hot hatches that it's going to really excite the market. Toyota haven't brought anything exciting out of the market since 1920. They haven't brought anything exciting. Now this Yaris GR.
The Kazu Racing.
It's based on a damn rally car, wide wheel arches. It's the kind of thing that you would think of seeing like in the 80s when rally sport was nuts and they had 1,000 horsepower cars.
With the Quattros and what was that?
Martini-sponsored car. With exciting tons.
Yes.
Yaris it's going to come out here with like 200 kilowatts from a three-cylinder, three-cylinder, 1.6 turbocharged engine, all-wheel drive. That, I want to put my name down because I want one of those. That's going to be like Toyota when they had the Celica iconic car. I mean, let's not talk about the new Supra.
When they were sponsored by Castrol, how I remember that car. Yes.
So now you've got this car that's going to be, I don't want to say affordable because it'll most probably come in the 600,000-700,000 range, but it's going to be a hoot. I'm really looking forward to that car. Fun, small, two-door, that looks aggressive and goes like stink. I mean, what more do you want? And it's backed by somebody like Toyota. It won't be like you mentioned the Abarth, which if you hammer it will fall apart. The Toyota will be going when it's going 250,000 Ks.
Clearly, you don't like a Fiat
Malaysia driving it like a lunatic somewhere. It'll still be going. I mean, that's the car I'm looking forward to.
No, fantastic. And I'm sure a lot of other hot hatch lovers are going to be looking forward to that as well. But now, looking at the likes of Alfa Romeo, the new Giulia, it's got that pizzazz, it's got that look. Power-wise, what can we expect? Something different from the previous model?
Well, look, in terms of the Alfa Giulia, I think that for me has been the disappointment of of that vehicle in terms of its lack of sales, because it's a great car. It offers tremendous performance. I mean, the Quattrofoglio is it's got a Ferrari engine in the damn thing. But then again, it is, what is it, roughly 1.5 million rand, lots of power. So, when it comes out next year, doesn't matter what they do to it, they're still going to sell one or two a month. It should be selling like an M3, M4s. They should be selling tons of them. But I suppose we don't have the dealer network. What have you got? A couple of dealers around the country, not enough dealers to support it, and not enough fans to go out and buy it. So it's a bit disappointing. I would have liked to have seen it sell a lot better than it actually did. So sure, it'll come out with a facelift. It'll have a different bumper, headlights, and a couple of trims and stuff like that. So it'll come out. Nobody will notice. A couple of Alfistis will buy it, and it'll just be by the wayside. It'll never be something that's selling in huge numbers, which is disappointing for me because I think it should sell a lot better than it actually does. Yeah.
Well, people were saying that obviously the updated versions of the Alfa Romeo, the Giulia and Stelvio, Quadrifoglio, obviously with with the 2.9 liter bi-turbo V6, producing 375 kilowatts, not bad. But also, I think performance-wise, we're looking at 0 to 100 in under 4 seconds for an Alfa.
Put it into perspective, 375 kilowatts is roughly what a BMW X6 4.4 liter V8 twin turbo is throwing out. So it's a very powerful engine in a car half the weight of an X6. Goes like stink. Why it hasn't sold, I don't know. Maybe it's just that stigma that poor old Alfa is stuck with. It doesn't have.
Where do you think Alfa have gone wrong in Fiat in the country? Once upon a time, the Uno and the Uno Turbo was like the thing in the 90s. If you had that thing with the Hockenheim R wheel and a City Golf CTI, you were the dawn. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where have they gone wrong in the last, let's say, decade or two in terms of marketing from a South African market perspective?
Let's look at the South African marketing thing. I think it's down to the marketing and backup of its product, because the product from Alfa now, if you look at the Giulietta, which is a mainstream model, although it's going offline now, it never really sold well, but it's a great car. I know clients of mine who bought those cars loved them. They didn't have many problems with them. They were great cars, fun to drive, but it's that stigma of you buy a car and you spend, let's say, 400,000-500,000 rand on it, and in a couple of years you want to sell it. One, nobody wants to buy it from you, and two, they want to give you a slap in the face for it. So you get offers, 100,000 rand for a car that should be 200,000 rand. And I think once you've bought that and you've had that problem, you either keep it for donkey's years, or you just go out and buy yourself a car that you can sell, you can get parts for, and you will get looked after when you go to the dealers. And that's the other problem. They don't have enough dealers around. So if we look at Joburg, what do they got? 3 or 4 dealers. So if you live near a dealer, it's cool. But if you live in Bloemfontein, where are you going to find a dealer to service that car or maintain that car? There's always
like Kuruman or somewhere far out. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
If you're out of a major city, you're not going to buy that. And of course, there are so many good cars around nowadays. You mentioned like the Uno Turbo in the days when you could have CTI or Uno Turbo, but there wasn't much else. But now, if you look at the competitors,
the variants,
you must probably got 20 different competitors to choose from. So people go and look and they say, well, there's a dealer around the corner, Toyota, or there's a Ford dealer, or a Mazda dealer, or a BM, or somebody. There's loads of dealers around. So the competition is just so tough. And of course, I think the pricing that Alfa do on their vehicles, for them to sell them, they need to make them a lot more affordable. You don't want, I always see Alfa, they'll come out great. It's an expensive car. And then 6 months later, they're giving 100 grand off discounts. So what does it do for resale values? Those are the kinds of things that really, ruin a brand.
No, it's an interesting talking point you mentioned there. And obviously you're looking at, a competitor to that. There's so many other competitors out in the market. The likes of now last year we've seen the Hyundai, the N. They've launched this hot hatch. Yes, I mean that was quite smart. I mean, in
Yeah.
comparison to the Golf 7, performance-wise, I've seen it. And look, I'm a PS4 fan on Gran Turismo. I was boosting on that thing. My man, oh, that thing is fast. You know what I'm saying?
What's
But
that?
uh,
You're talking about
uh,
Mania. I don't know these games.
okay, well, anyway, when you come to my place, we'll see who's a good driver. Mr. Ford. But anyway, looking at Audi and the launch of the RSQ8, we've seen, look, I've said and I've driven the RSQ5, fantastic car, performance
Yeah.
wise. What do you make of this? I mean, COVID-19 prevented the introduction of the so called potent Q8 and the
Yeah.
RSQ8 SUV. Practicality wise and performance wise, talk to me.
I think practically a Q8 is a great car, but it's a family car. It's a big family car. To make it a performance car, it's such a niche market. I mean, BM managed to they do it well, and so do Mercedes do it well with their AMG cars. Mercedes
GLEs and
has that
AMGs,
car,
yes.
but there's that long heritage of those vehicles, and there's a big following. The Q7, and then they had this Q8, which is bigger than a Q7. It's just, for me, it doesn't work. If I want a performance huge SUV, I'm going to go buy an X5M, or I'm going to go buy an AMG 63, something along
Correct.
those lines.
Or maybe a
You know,
G63, eh?
Well, yeah, if you're a entrepreneur, go buy.
You never know with me.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but for me, it's just the Q8 looks great. I'm sure it'll go like stink. It'll do fantastic, but it's another one that I don't think is going to sell well. They're going to sell 5 a year. That is
You
the
reckon?
problem.
I mean, what do you think? Based on pricing point or based on practicality, as what we were talking about?
Again, back to competition. I mean, if you go to somebody and say the Q8 is going to come in at over 2 million, most probably SQ8. So you're going to buy a Mercedes, or you're going to buy an M5 or X5M or X6M, or like you mentioned, G63, or you're going to go and buy a car which is deemed to be an old man with his family's car. I don't think it's got the heritage in that goes with the competitors. They will sell a few to the odd Audi fan, but I don't think they're going to do fantastically well.
Well, talking about SUV and the niche market of SUV, we looked at obviously Rolls-Royce and we looked at Bentley. Now, Bentley obviously launching the Bentayga Speed. Obviously, and I'm sure it's coming in with, I think it's a twin turbo, not V12, W12.
W12.
Wow.
So they take two V6s. So you got two V6s like this, and then you stick another two next to it. So you got a W12. So if you remember the old VR6 Golf.
Yes.
You remember? Okay. So basically, it's one block with 6 pistons in it.
Correct.
Like
Correct.
a cylinder as such, not like a V as such. It was slightly offset. It's a higher angle. You got 2 of those banged together to give you a W12.
That's going to throw a lot of power. I mean, we're looking at I mean, they were saying the output packed at about 480 odd kilowatts or so, 900 Newton meters of torque. I mean, this is a machine. Pricing point, I'm sure. Would you compare it to in the pricing range of obviously the RSQ8 and obviously Rolls-Royce?
This is most probably going to come in at about 5 million. So you must probably buy yourself 2 Q8s for the price of a Bentley, but then it's a Bentley. I mean, it's got presence, it's got heritage. Again,
it's got that dapper, it's got that class, but also that brutality as well in terms of power.
You got to win the lottery 3 times to go and buy one,
Okay, so give us some numbers.
I've been trying for a long time, I don't know.
No, but it's interesting to note. I mean, obviously, they're saying that it comes with an 8-speed automatic transmission. We haven't seen many of these Bentley SUVs in the market, although they've been recently introduced over the last 2 years or so. As you say, they don't have the heritage compared to Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and the like. Let's move on to the BMW.
It's a niche car, very, very niche car. Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about M-Power fans because I'm a hardcore M-Power fan. The M3, the M4. When I first looked at it last year in the first half of 2020, when I saw the first pictures with this massive kidney grille that they normally have, I was like, they're thinking about. But now I'm slowly getting into the groove of it, to understand the shape, etc. Obviously, I think the first arrivals of this car is going to come with a 3-liter inline six,
Yeah,
if I
that's a
understand correct.
3-liter twin turbo motor. Yeah.
Oh, 3-liter twin turbo. Now we're looking at 375 kilowatts with the M competition spec. Um, and I mean, now its competitor definitely is going to be the 63 AMG, the 43 AMG. What do you make of the new M3 and M4? And what I love about it is, the add-on exhaust, the Akarpovich. Oh, it tones like a beast.
Yeah, but you could most probably buy 2 Yaris's for the price of exhaust that they put on the car. They're very
I
expensive.
see you love that
But
Gazoo racing, right?
look, M3s and M4s for years back, the M cars have been great. Cars. I don't mind the grill. This whole talk about BMW grills, but has anybody looked at an Audi lately? Massive big grills. Talk about Lexus. If you want an ugly grill, what about that spindle grill they put on the front of Lexus? I mean, that's worse than the BM. I actually think the BM looks quite good. It doesn't bother me. Maybe putting the number plate there does look a bit obscure, but we'll get used to it. It's something different, and I don't think it's a problem at all. I actually think it looks quite good.
Now, I want to talk about moving away from M-Power, the Ford Thunder, the Ranger Bucky Thunder. It's quite impressive. I
Yeah.
like the way it looks. I think they're doing fairly well in the country, but now a competitor, I think, who's really going to hit the market hard this year, apart from your Mahindra, Tata, is the
I know what you're going to say.
GWM-P. Yeah. Talk
Look,
to me about it. What's your opinion on that one?
As such, I haven't driven it. I've had a look at it. It looks fairly good. I must grab a test unit so I can go and drive it. I think it'll do fairly well in the market. If you look at how Haval cars have done,
Yes.
they're selling good numbers. In the 4 to 500 region a month, which is extremely good. That's more than some of the big players in the market. I think people who've bought Havals have had good response with them, good reliability. They will go and look at that bucket and say it's good value. But another bucky that's going to be coming out, which I really hope does well, is the new Mazda BT50, because I think it's most probably it's going to be one of the best looking buckies on the market, and it's based on the Isuzu with the new Isuzu D-Max, which we won't get till I think 22, but the Mazda is going to come out with all that tech before. Apparently, it's a great engine. The styling looks really good on that Mazda bucky, and I think Mazda's going to do well, and I hope they do well out of it, because Mazda's brought out some fantastic cars. And talking about
over the years. Yeah, I mean, over the years, obviously from the days of the Mazda Magnum, the Rustler, etc. I mean, they were tough engines. The EGI motor was very strong, etc. We know Ford and Mazda together. But now, I think post 2010, when the BT50 was introduced after the Magnum series fell away, sales-wise, don't you think they might have dipped a bit in terms? I mean, we've looked at Mitsubishi with the Triton. I don't know what would they think.
Look, I think the styling was a bit tricky, so people didn't buy it. And then also thought, well, Ford Ranger, because it looks a lot better. I think that's why they didn't do well. And another Mazda that is coming out shortly, on the 3rd of February, they're launching the CX-30, which is based on the new Mazda 3, which is an exceptionally good car. A CX-30, and SUVs are selling like hotcakes nowadays. I think the CX-30 is another one from Mazda that's going to do extremely well.
Well, it's going to be interesting to look at. I mean, there's so many cars. I mean, Land Rover's launching a lot. Maserati with the MC20. Wow, that looks fantastic. But, Adam, I don't mean to cut you short, although I'm looking at the Mazda BT50. It really looks, it looks appealing. It's really appealing. I like that. Beast, it's got that brutal force kind of a grill in the front. But anyway, we'll have to leave that as it stands for now, as it brings us to just after 9 p.m., Adam. But that's where we leave it for now. Thanks so much for your time tonight.
It's a pleasure. Always fun being with you guys.
Great stuff, man. And yeah, when you're going for that test drive, we are going to chat again soon. Anyway, having said
Okay.
that, it brings us now to about just after 9 p.m. It was Adam Ford, motoring journalist, talking to us about some of the new releases you can expect, and also the new Mercedes-Benz S-Class. I think that's going to come out in the second quarter of the year or so. Also, there's going to be a new GLS 63 coming out. Having said that, it's now time for me to wrap up, lock up, and leave the building. And I'll be back with you, inshallah, next week, same time. Diezelfde plek hoor, de Klauw Bonada. Take care from me, Sir Faraz Takolia, my studio controller engineer, Sorek, holding it down for me. The show can't go on without my team, Salailo, and the rest of the guys holding it down as well. Hats off to you guys. For everyone else, I'm just the glue that keeps it together. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.